Reb Itzele and Volozhin, and if you have this volume, it's on page 21, and really getting into some very interesting points here in terms of our own hashkafa and our own behavior of we've been speaking about, he's using Reb Chaim Volozhin as an example of a role model of how we should be. And he speaks about the anivus of Reb Chaim Volozhin. Everybody knows that we're supposed to be humble, but his humility and his humbleness was, to put it in his words, in his final words, there was no difference between nega and oneg. It's a whole new idea of whole idea of being humble is that nega is the worst suffering that a person can have. Oneg is the biggest pleasure that a person could have. Both of those are good Hebrew words, and they're the same letters, nega and oneg. And as I said last week, the whole difference is where you put the ayin, how you look at things. But what does that have to do with humility? That humility is not that, I'm a nothing. That's just, I don't know what that is, shiftless. But that's not anava. Anava is when I'm not distinguishing that between that which is happening to me, which is causing me suffering, and that which is happening to me, which is causing me oneg. What does it mean I'm not distinguishing? Of course I'm distinguishing. Here I'm feeling pleasure, here I'm feeling suffering. But in terms of like I'm a soldier, and I'm just a soldier. in this world, in this binyan of the world. So some things are good, and some things are pleasurable, some things are not so pleasurable. But you have to keep marching. That's the way it is. Once a person comes along and says, "Hey, I'm not going to do that. That's not right for me." So that's gaiva. Once a person says, "I shouldn't be suffering this way," so then, okay, you're a business class guy. That's gaiva. So the connection between oneg nega and humbleness, is that the right word, or humility? I'm not sure what the difference is. Does anybody know? Same thing you say. What? Maybe there's no word humbleness even. But a humble person has humility. It's yeshivish word. Humility. Let's call it humility. You know what I mean? Let's call it anava. So so when we say Moshe Rabbeinu was an alav mikol adam, he rolled with the punches, meaning that if things were pleasurable, they were pleasurable. If they were causing of suffering, which he certainly had, they're causing of suffering, but he saw himself with the job, and the job has some nice parts and parts, but he didn't see himself as not part of the job. I just want to go over this next paragraph, which we did already, but I just want to bring out a different, a Lamaisa point here. And here on page 21 on the top, it says, "V'chol roya hashemesh v'gurosai, hema ro keitamo." It's a beautiful poetic lotion. Roa hashemesh v'gurosai. Anybody who saw the sun in its strength. This is obviously alluding to the Gemara, which says that the Gemara talks about in Bava Metzia that at the beginning of creation there was an argument between the sun and the moon, because it says Shtei ha'ma'oros ha'gedolim, that the moon came along and said that, hey, your whole Bria, Hashem, is that there shouldn't be any kind of jealousy or there shouldn't be competition. Lo lahatzel kina b'maisa bereishis. A little bit we could understand that. So everybody has to have their job. So what's up with the Shtei Ma'oros HaGedolim, asks the moon. Why is there two of us? Ein Shtei Malachim Mishtamshim B'Keser Echad. You can't have two kings. That's not going to work. Who's the boss, me or the sun? And the Gemara says, after the long Gemara, that the sun didn't say anything. This was all about the moon. The moon was the one that was having timeless. So the Gemara calls that Kitseis HaShemesh B'Gvurasai, that the Shemesh wasn't bothered by this, and then the Shemesh became, of course, the bigger Ma'or. Unless you saw the moon last night, it was like unbelievable. But still wasn't the sun. The sun is like that every single day. It's big, it's full. So that's the Kitseis HaShemesh B'Gvurasai. So when you speak about the Anivus of Reb Chaim Volozhin, he points out that anybody saw Reb Chaim Volozhin understood he was Kitzeis Hashemesh Bigvarasa. He was the bigger one. He was the bigger one who could be the smaller one. It's okay. If you're big enough, you can be small. It's the small people that need to be big. Yes. So Heimaro came to Mo, but everybody who saw him had this question. Shim kol knias gufay unamichas ruchay lamila da'alma, that with all of his humility, when it came to inyanim of Shemayim, he wasn't anav at all. He wasn't humble at all. Lilbash oiz v'hadar. All of a sudden he became the strong man. Oiz v'hadar. V'adzibula basrais, until the very last detail. Libay haisa shuma, his heart was ready. Shuma means ready. Lasos madur na l'Torah v'avodah g'milas chasadim, to make a beautiful abode for Torah, avodah, g'milas chasadim. Now, I believe that means both within himself, al derech bilvavi mishkan evna, like he made himself into a beautiful abode. Plus, Metzias, he built a beautiful building. He made a yeshiva, first in history, the type of yeshiva that he had, he built. Now, so where was the question here that he's pointing out is where the humility? Ma ma'od gava libay b'darchei Hashem lilchaim melchamta shel Torah. And he was a getter of gava libay b'darchei Hashem. Gava libay b'darchei Hashem means literally not to be confused with gaiva. Gaiva is with a vav. Gava is with a beis. Gava, because people learn this pasuk wrong and they say gava libay b'darchei Hashem means that I'm supposed to be proud. Gaiva is proud. Gava libay means I'm high-hearted. B'darchei Hashem. It's a whole different idea, which I will explain. Ma'od gava libo b'darchei Hashem lilchaim melchamta shel Torah. When it came to Torah and the milchama of Torah, when he was fighting those battles, gava libo b'darchei Hashem. So here he's the big, humble person, full of humility. On the other hand, it's almost a bit of a chutzpah, to say I'm going to build the first yeshiva. Like, I'm going to do something, and don't forget, like once he saw the Vilna Gaon, like how could you even have the chutzpah to do anything? You're humbled. He says himself. Every mitzvah that he began with a ruach of chachma and gevura, or he had an idea, chachma, gevura, gamra beruach das v'yiras Hashem. Wonderful choice of words that we need to understand. V'davar echad midvarav lo shav, and he never went back. He never, meaning, like if he set out with a plan, never in the middle, he's explained, did he say, that was too hard, I made a mistake. He didn't go back, he didn't backtrack, he didn't retract. V'hetzi, does yours say v'hetzi or v'hotzi? Hetzi, it's a funny lashon. V'hetzi la'or machshavtei hatoiva lifnei riv vayzam. Like when you put out a book, so you're motzi la'or. You're taking something from a hidden place and you're bringing it out into a revealed place. Hetzi la'or, he articulated his machshava tova lifnei riv vayzam in front of thousands of people. This takes a certain amount of gaiva, to be able to get up in a room where there's 1,000 people and say, this is what I think. It's gaiva, right? Sort of a gaiva. So here, the Olav Mikol Adam was also the Gava Liboy B'darchei Hashem, like Moshe Rabbeinu. Olav Mikol Adam, on the one hand. On the other hand, he said what needed to be said. Yes, he said what needed to be said. You see his whole interaction with Korach. Where was the Olav Mikol Adam? So I explained last week in this, I want to go over this point one more time, and that is that Gava Liboy B'darchei Hashem is wrongly translated, as it is by many people, as well, you have to be proud, like proud to be a Jew. Gava Liboy B'darchei Hashem is often used with the idea that this is what I believe, and I don't care what anybody thinks. I don't care what he says. I'm going to wear my yarmulke here. I'm going to live here. I'm going to do what I've got to do. That's the way it's usually used. It's not what it means. There might be such a thing, but that's not what this means. What this means is this, that there's a downside to humility. And it's a very, very big problem. It's a very, very big downside. And that is that if a person is too humble, so you say, I can't do that. Who am I to do that? And if you say, who am I to do that, so then nothing gets done. So first of all, who am I to do that? Is that a good idea or not a good? Hashem yelled at Moshe for saying, "Mi ani shedaber in Paro." Who are you? I'm telling you that you should talk to Paro. What are you getting involved? That wasn't anivus. That was a bit of a gaiva there. You see, the fear of failure is gaiva, not anivus. The fear of failure is, I'm going to fail and everybody's going to laugh at me. So let them laugh. So the fear of failure is coming from a haughty place. It's not coming from a humble place. So the people don't do anything. People that don't actually make the move. They don't build the building. They don't start the yeshiva. They don't write the book. Whatever it is they're going to do. So what is this? Where is this coming from? It's not coming from a place of humility. It's actually coming shorshay bagaiva, as far as it says. It actually has a shorish bagaiva. I'm afraid it's not going to work. And then what will people say? Perfectly human, perfectly natural, but don't think it's you're being humble. All it is bagaiva that you haven't yet purified. I haven't yet purified that guy. As opposed to somebody who's going, I could do anything, or the world needs me. It's a very fine line. So the Gava Liboy B'Darach Hashem doesn't mean that I'm going at it with Gaiva. It's Gava Liboy. I have a big heart. I have a big capacity. And this big capacity, I have to know that I have a big capacity. And therefore, I have to be able to use this capacity. That has nothing to do with, there's not a lack of humility at all.
It's achrayus.
Achrayus. Who am I to, with the derech of who am I, mi ani, you won't do anything. Who am I to put on tefillin? Am I roy to put on tefillin? Do I have the Torah to put on tefillin? Who am I to do anything? Anything that you want to do, anything which is good requires a gava libai, not a gaiva, but a gava. Important.
Some people say I can't do something is not the curse of something, because if you think that some things you could do, nothing you can do unless it was born.
I hear that too. Gava libai b'derech Hashem. Apocars. Okay, I think that. So here's a very it's a big demand because it's two sort of opposite ideas that I have to keep with myself all the time. Ikar Hanava. Let's just do another. Ikar Hanava. The main thing of Hanava, and this is a general statement. Shaloi lahargish ma'asav ha'tovim shepa'al. Is not to feel, so lahargish, I don't want to change his words at all, not to even feel ma'asav hatoivim shepal, all the good that he has done. Ve'erech ma'loisav shehisig, not to feel the great heights that I have achieved. V'chol asher yigdulu pulosav u'ma'losav esichlo yarba lahakir gdulasa yisparach shema. On the contrary, everything that he's accomplished, understand this came from Hashem. So it comes out like this, if I could put this in my words, and I think I'm right. There's a difference between Kodem Habaisa and Achar Habaisa. Before you do the thing, and after you do the thing. Like, let's say you're out to do a tremendous mitzvah. You're going to build something fantastic for the Jewish people. That requires Gava Libai B'Darach Hashem. Now you've built it, and it's there, and the testimonial dinner is happening, and everybody is mishabech. Wow, look what you've done. This is where the humility kicks in, because achar hamaisa, and this has to be sincere. It was just silly to help nothing. That was nothing. That's also gaiva. What do you mean it was nothing? Nothing for you. It's a big thing for me. Like, it was nothing for me to run 55 miles. Well, it was nothing. What am I saying? I'm a big gibor. So you got to be very careful with this. This is important. I'm not just dragging you a cup. This is important, important stuff. So there's a big difference in attitude between before the thing is done and after the bais is done. Before you build this building or do this mitzvah, so gavali by b'darach Hashem. How can I not? I have to do it. This is my achrayus to do. Once it's done, min hashamayim. I had a schus min hashamayim to be able to accomplish this, because at the end, all we could do is do. What happens and what doesn't happen, siyata d'shmaya. Like it's all siyata d'shmaya. You see people that are very smart and they don't become wealthy. You see people who aren't so smart, they do become wealthy. Like it's all at the end. It's all siyata d'shmaya. Who's able to, who's not able. I don't believe that there's really like an ingredient, to doing this. But so let me just make one more distinction of words. I'm bothered by the self-esteem movement. There's books written, Jewish books, by people I love, all about self-esteem. Now, I think it's a poor choice of words. Esteem. If you hold somebody else in great esteem, that's talking about you're giving them a lot of kavod. I mean, that's what esteem. The esteem. So self-esteem.
They're pro or against the books?
Not against the books. I just don't like the word. I don't like the words. Self-esteem. I think self-confidence is a better way of saying it, meaning that if I have, you need a self, and I have confidence that Hashem will help me. So it's a self-esteem, my self-esteem.
That's a winner. Self-confidence.
That's Hashem confidence.
Not self-confidence, self-confidence.
No, self-confidence.
Self-confidence is a Buddha. It's a lot of factors. It's Hashem obviously gave me what I need to be able to do this. I have to have the confidence to believe that if I'm put in this position, I'm able to do it. Hashem doesn't give me a project in front of me that I can't do. And I have to believe that Hashem is helping me. So it's all about believing. So I could walk into a situation with a lot of self-confidence. Self-esteem is something psychologists talk about. It's a different idea. Not to have an inferiority complex with self-esteem. So I can stand in front of the mirror and go, the esteemed Rabbi Haber. What's that? Like, that's not, what is that? It's gaiva. It's nothing but God. Just the first step, looking in the mirror, is gaiva. Like, what do you want to see here? What are you looking for exactly? Well, it's not going to be that much different than yesterday. What's the?
Hopefully.
Anyways, hopefully. So, I just want to make that point that this is the fine line, I believe. I'm not criticizing anybody, just to drop it. I just want to make this distinction of self-confidence. The nafkamina will be after the job is done, because once the job is done, so if I'm full of self-esteem, so you see, I was able to do it. Give me cover. On the other hand, if it was self-confidence, I knew that I would have siyata d'shmaya. I knew I would have the koach that I need, so that there's nothing to get all excited about yourself afterwards. So here you have, in this mechaber, Reb Chaim Volozhin, you have these two ideas. You don't see Moshe Rabbeinu, the whole Mishnah Torah, like, look what I did. I got all you guys out of, Moshe Rabbeinu in history doesn't even get as much kavod l'havdil as Martin Luther King. He emancipated the people. He created a movement. He got the Torah. He spoke to Hashem. He was the son of Mikol Adam. He realized this is min hashamayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose me, the shepherd, to do this. But at the same time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to give him the self-confidence to be able to do it. I believe that when Moshe Rabbeinu stood at the burning bush, Hashem was tweaking this midah exactly. Giving him the confidence and using, but he was chosen because he didn't have it. He was chosen because he didn't have the guidance.
That was a tool for him for that.
Can't hear you.
The makel that Hashem gave us is part of that.
Confidence. Makel. Mazel b'yodcha.
There's many times where something's placed before us, and the right thing to do is to say no to it. So how do you go forward and saying, well, I can do it because if Hashem gave it to me, He wouldn't give me a job that I can't do. So how do you place your confidence in it? Maybe you're pursuing a path that is not what you're supposed to do, and therefore...
Look, so again, that's obviously a very important question, but one has to tweak and know what they can or can't do. So I could stay up all night and learn every night. You're going to fall apart. So that's the Hasur Satan Milfonenu. But what this demands here is a very accurate assessment. Probably best thing is to ask somebody else. A very accurate assessment of what I can and can't do. And that doesn't make me be a Balgaiva. And everything has to be l'chvod Hashem. Just while we're here, there's an interesting Chassam Sofer. I don't know that we should pass him this way, but a very interesting Chassam Sofer. The Chassam Sofer says that really, al pi Chazal, al pi Torah, Torah should not be written down at all, correct? Torah should bal peh. So Elamai, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi came along and he said that if you're not going to write down the Torah, it's going to get lost, it's going to get forgotten. So you're allowed to write down the Torah, you're allowed to write down the Mishnah, you're allowed to write down the Gemara, and you're allowed to write down your Chidushim, your Chidushay Torah, because it shouldn't get lost. Says the Chassam Sofer that a koisiv sefer lehispoyer boy, he writes a sefer to give yourself kavod. So then you lost the heter of Eis Lashes Lashem Hefer Torah Sechem is actually usher to do. So says the Chassam Sofer. So I run a publishing company. So at the beginning, I spoke to a marketing expert, a woman, very smart woman, and she said that you should point out to people that are writing books that this is a really fantastic thing for their career. If you're going to apply for a job, a rabbi, a teacher, you wrote a book, a different story. Which is true. It is a fantastic thing for somebody's career, so I usually point that out. This is really going to it's going to extol your kavod, it's going to give you kavod. So, I'm thinking, I read this Chassam Sofer, this whole business is one big lufnei ifer. Assuming the books are Divrei Torah altogether, but if it's Divrei Torah, the one reason why you're not allowed to write a book is because it's good for your career, I would think. So, this is a very
good for your career is that
Gufa could be lishma.
The career, right? Can be good.
If you say that it's all from Hashem, does that take down does that lower the kavod? If you recognize it's all from Hashem, so therefore there isn't the same element of, look at me. I had the self-confidence, not because of me, because the way it's generally translated is, look what I can do.
So once you take
the
the eye
Jewish
out of it,
self-confidence would be, I can do it because I got it from above.
okay, that takes it. Yeah. But there's a basic premise here that everything I could do is from Hashem. I could talk, it's from Hashem. I could see it's from Hashem.
So therefore there's no cover.
I can build, right, and therefore there's no cover. You see, there's I wanted to show you the Ramah. Learning in the morning, Reish Mem Tes Hilchos Tzedakah after davening. So the Ramah and Reish Mem Tes, the Shulchan Aruch says that you're not allowed to do a mitzvah lehispoyer bo. So person, you're not allowed to give tzedakah al manas that I want to have the kavod of having my name on a building, let's say. Not allowed. It would be nice if it was allowed. But you're not allowed. And then presumably, you're not allowed to ask somebody to do something for kavod. So the Rashba says, which is a very important Rashba, this is what the whole world is samech on. The Rashba says, no, but it's a good thing to put up a name, a plaque, that's a good thing to do, donated by so-and-so, that's a good thing to do because it's mechazik other people to do it. So somebody asked me yesterday, is it really couple days ago. Is it really Bechazik other people, or is it just Kavod? So I looked at the Rashba inside. The Rashba was quoted in the Ramah. It's good to do. V'roi lasis case is the Rashba. It's roi lasis case. It's a good thing to do. But I looked at the Rashba inside the Log Tshuva, and in the Rashba he says a little bit of, you look at the Rishonim, every word is important. And what he actually says is that we want to create a society where people are extolled for the mitzvahs they do. In other words, you could put a chart up here, and say, okay, so and so ran a marathon, so and so, lost 12 pounds in his diet, so like rah-rah, so we could become like a big, Weight Watchers community here, where everybody's rah-rahing everybody else. He said that's not what the Rashba says. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you have to create a society where who gets kavod in our society? The people that give tzedakah, the people that do mitzvahs, and that's the reason to put it on. Not Roy Lassus came because like you would understand for the Ramah without looking inside that it's good. You say, look, he gave money, I'll give money too, of course. But it's a deeper thing than that. It's a whole societal condition which the Rashba wanted to create. He says Roy Lassus came. So putting that Rashba aside, which is a very, very important Rashba, halacha l'maisa, of putting up plaques, if a person's kavana, now we're talking about something different, a person's kavana is for kavod. So the Shulchan Aruch says in Reish Mem Tes, wild lashon, hamispar b'mitzvah sha'asa, hamispaer b'mitzvah sha'asa, kimat hu noitel b'zeh eschara.
In himself, even. Or to others.
Seems. Mispire, I think, means to others. Boast about your mitzvah. Kimat notel b'zeh eschara. You're almost losing the schar. Comes the Ramah, and he says, no, I argue. Lo dai she'eino makabel schar ela nidon b'gehenim.
Nice.
Ki b'pirsumai hu megal l'daito she'ein ma'asav l'shem shamayim. Yeridei Reish Mem Tes Sif Yud Gimel. The Ramah not only lost your Mila, but you need to be Gehenna. Can you imagine this? 120 years, you get to the pearly gates. Why am I going to hell? Because you donated a building. Need to be Gehenna. Need to be Gehenna doesn't mean you go to Gehenna. Need to be Gehenna means that's where your Din Torah takes place, I think. In other words, this is what you're dealing with here. You're dealing with a Gehenna thing. So, this is pretty serious. This idea of being mispoyer b'mitzvah, but I believe that it should not be confused. It's easier to say, okay, then I'm just not going to do the mitzvah. It should not be confused with the self-confidence, not self-esteem, but because self-esteem is going to lead you to the gaiva afterwards. It should not be confused with the need and the chiyuv and the mitzvah of self-confidence that you have to have before the mitzvah. So self-confidence before the mitzvah, and the anivus is after the mitzvah. And I think that's the kiyum of the Ramah. And on this, the Ramah brings the Rashba that says, but sometimes to put up a sign is a good thing. The royal lassos came because then you're creating the kind of neighborhood and society that we want to live with. So you got to really be. This is Shulchan Aruch. This is not Shulchan Aruch. You really have to be very careful not to do, and not to do for the wrong reason. So it seems it's all about the kavanah. So we're trying to create a community of tzaddikim. All just try to become tzaddikim. That's what we're trying to do here. So this is something to balance out. The lashon of the Zohar, as I brought down in the sefer, is that anybody who does a mitzvah lispar, the Ramah says that nidon begehenna. But he says that kroiv, the lashon Zohar is kroiv ha'maisav l'dor ha'paloga. You're actually part of the dor ha'paloga. Because the dor ha'paloga, the key words there were v'nasa lanu shem. Let's build a big building. V'nasa lanu shem, and that'll be Nasa Lanu Shem, that'll make a good name for ourselves. To who? They were the whole world. So and Reb Tzadok, we learned once together, says that building that they built could have been the Beis HaMikdash forever. That could have been the tikkun for the Chet of Adam Arisha. That could have been Mabush the Beis HaMikdash forever. The only problem with the whole building, look what you had there. Isha Echad, Lev Echad. Everybody was together and working together. Right? It was a beautiful thing, a tall building. Look what mankind could accomplish. It would have been the Beis HaMikdash if it wouldn't have been for these three words, V'nasa Lanu Shem. That's what messed up the whole thing. So that Nasa Lanu Shem, says the Zohar, is the person who's mispoyer and the mitzvah she'asa. So, Ikar HaNavo says, Shalom lahargish ma'asav ha'tovim shepal, not even to feel the good that I've done. Be'erach ma'loisav shlihish, not even to feel the heights that I've achieved. V'chol asher yigdalu pulosav u'malosav v'sichloi, yar b'lahakir gdulasa yisparach shmu. That the more I'm accomplished, the more I'm thanking Hashem for what I can accomplish, what I was able to be accomplished. Kain ruach likim toisiv tas koyach hergish k'shrega. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu will add on to one's abilities by the less he's proud of himself. In other words, the more you make room. Right? So the Zohar says, Kollel ben Yefunah. Kollel ben Yefunah was Kollel. Kollel was Kollel ben Yefunah that started off empty. He wasn't full of himself. Yefunah, Pinoi. So the Pinoi was able to become Malay, Kollel. It has to be. That's how you can affect the people. Utadamim, tadmim, and quiet, still, hergish atzmus maloisa. Kisharoya, shemisyaker beinai anoshim lechabdoi, and if one sees that people are starting to give you a lot of kavod, mitzdamik v'ra'al of hamaisa, it needs to be uncomfortable. Machashav loichas renoisav lahaktim atzmai. This is a time to humble yourself. This is the time to humble yourself, meaning after the story. Barav, like we find by Rav. Rav was a story that Rav was a Talmud of Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, and when Rabbi Yehuda Anasi was nifter, so he went from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel for a number of reasons. He moved to Bavel, and he figured, I'll go to Bavel, I'll start something up there. He didn't realize that he was known in Bavel. He didn't realize that that everyone could, they didn't have the internet. So he didn't realize that everyone knew that he was the Gadol Ador. So when he came to Bavel, thousands of people came to greet him at the port of Bavel, or however you get to Bavel in those days. They came to meet him. So the Gemara says, Karavichazi Ambuha. So when he saw the masses, Ambuha means the masses of Gemara Yuma, coming to greet him, so he ran away. Right in Nafshe, in Colossians, he ran away from it. See, I just want to take a minute to bring out another little sugya here before we go into that we'll go further on Sunday. A related sugya, but I believe it's very related. There is a machlekes here in Orach Chaim, in Halacha, in Orach Chaim Kuf Nun Vav. Magen Avram brings this in Orach Chaim Kuf Nun Vav. He brings a Yam Shel Shlomo. That's the Marshal. It was earlier than the Magen Avram. And the Yam Shel Shlomo says, if a person says with anava, this is Lashon, a person says with anava, Yesh li yoser mimashe magia li, lufi masai. Hashem has given me more than I deserve. So is that a good thing to say or a bad thing to say? Or parv, or meaningless? Let's see. I was in America a couple weeks ago. So Dave Ramsey, you know him, he's like a big financial guy. So I was listening to him on the radio driving. So people call in. So he's apparently an evangelical. Besides for being a financial counselor, he's an evangelical priest or something. So every time somebody calls, they say, "How are you?" And he said, this was like 5 times in 1/2 hour. He said, "Much better than I ought to be, much more than I deserve to be." Okay. So I started thinking, is that like a Christian thing, or is that like a good thing, or does that have to do with being a financial counselor? Like what's now here's a guy who's like medaic in every penny that you spend. Where's the hole, and what's your budget? You know, like I'm not, that way, but should be, but I'm not. Like what a person says. So comes the Magen Avraham brings the Marshal, and the Marshal says, if a person says, "Yesh li yoser b'ma shemagia li l'fi masai," I have much more than I deserve according to what my behavior, according to what I do. So the Marshal says, "Aser loimer kain." Remember, I said to the Gemara that says, "Beisakisa shtikusa, Yisurim shtikusa." What does it mean? Like Hashem has helped. I mean, I would think this is a good thing to say. Hashem has helped me beyond what I deserve. So good or bad? What do you say?
Bad.
Bad. Okay. Marshal's.
Mouth to the sun.
Don't put the mouth to the sun.
I don't know what that means, but I don't think that's the issue here. I mean, I know everybody says that, but I'm not sure if anybody knows what they're saying with this. Tiftach Pevel,
Does Hashem do that? Does Hashem?
Oh, what does that mean?
Hashem gives you what you deserve.
Oh, so says the Marshal that Kol Shoimer, Kol Oimer, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Vatranhu, Mevatrin Loim Nishmaim. What are you saying? That it's chaos? That Hashem has no budget? He's like me?
Deserve equals need. Kadosh Baruch Hu gives you what you need. Need for what?
No, I'm not talking need, deserve. Need is a whole different story. Shasali Kol Tzarchi, here we got this today.
Is you not trusting because you was husband?
No. Right. Let's not make a distinction. Let's not make let's be Lamdanim here. We're not talking about what I need, what I don't need. Obviously, Hashem gives you exactly what I need. Nobody questions that. Saying I'm getting not what in other words, I need. If I need Yisur, I have Yisur. If I need money, I have money. Whatever I need, Hashem gives me. Whatever if somebody is complaining about their wife or their husband, obviously this is what Hashem gave you. This is what you need. Oh, you're doing it again. That's one thing. It's what I need. I need to be yelled at once in a while. I need to be whatever the issue is. Like that's what I need. That's what I need. That Hashem gave me. That's what I need. If you do believe Shidducha B'Rabbi Shamayim, so Shidducha B'Rabbi Shamayim. So unless you're holding by getting a get over this thing, which is whatever that is, this is what I need. So that's what I need. We're not talking about need. But now saying, you got the wife you deserve. Ooh. now you're hitting well, right? You got what you deserve. Like, why do I deserve this? So now a person can come to this with a gisha and say, my wife, my money, my house, my kids, much more than I deserve. So now you're saying there's no cheshbon in Shemayim, says the Marshal. Now let me add to the Marshal. If I say that I get much more than I deserve, then tomorrow I might look at the situation and say, well, I seem I'm getting much less than I deserve. So the whole deserve is the whole more or less is making you play God over here, because why are you deciding? That's the Marshal. Let me just the Magen Avraham comes along and he says, I disagree with the Marshal. It's his lashon here. Hashem gives a person schar beyond, what's wrong with saying that? Beyond what they deserve. So what does it mean that you can't say HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a vatran? Says the Magen Avraham. You can't say I did an Aveira and you say Hashem is good to me anyway. That's what you're not allowed to say. Look at me, I'm sinning, I'm talking Lashon Hara, and Hashem is still giving me good, so that's saying that Hashem's not watching the story. That's us. Very, very fine point. But to say, so we're not talking about Averas. I'm talking Averas. I'm just saying, Magia li. So let's put it in the positive. Am I allowed to say, Magia li, to live this sort of a life? Am I allowed to say that? Or are we not supposed to say Magia li at all?
I mean, you're saying say, articulate with your lips, or need, or feel in your heart. What are you saying? What
I
are you
don't, I
saying?
don't, I don't know what he means. Oh, Imer.
I mean, it seems according to the Mishnah that you taught, the Gemara that you taught, you shouldn't say.
Okay,
Should
what about you
not
not saying?
articulate.
Okay. You should articulate it for sure, but maybe even the issue is to
Feel it.
feel.
I don't think we should be getting involved in Hashem's judgments. I mean, who are we? Like, we don't know what we.
Isn't it a good thing? I mean, maybe I'm mistaken. Isn't it a good thing to feel that Hashem has blessed me? I'm fortunate.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's totally different.
Okay, so what's the difference?
Difference is because.
Magieli.
No, because I can't do anything for Hashem. Everything I get from Hashem, I can maybe do a few mitzvahs. No, but he doesn't really need my mitzvahs anyway. But I can't give back Hashem.
You're
1
saying
million
so. You're saying exactly what the Marshal says not to say. Why is it different?
Isn't
The
it?
Marshal says don't say this. Like Hashem doesn't need my mitzvahs, and I really don't deserve anything. And it's a cool thing to wake up in the morning and say Lo magia li klum, Lo magia li klum, and whatever Hashem gives me is Yoser mi Mashiach. Isn't that a good thing? Of course he argues with it. He says you're not allowed to say that.
But isn't Midas a
He says that's exactly what it says you're not allowed to say. What?
Isn't that Midas a Rachamim though? That there's a din of what I deserve, and Rachamim goes beyond that din. There's a
But say there's a chart here, right? So it could be that the Marshal's learning, right? He knew this too, that the Marshal's learning, so that's all the chart. Magielacha. In other words, Hashem has his cheshbonos. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus, Rachamim, stuck in the middle there. We're not talking about need. Don't get mixed up with need. Need is a whole different story. Magia, I'm getting, says the Marshal, exactly Masha Magia. Based on Chesed and Rachamim and on Gvur. And if I say I'm getting more than Magia, so Apokars. It comes to Magid Avram, says exactly what you're saying. What do you mean? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you more than Magia. So he says that a person should be medactic to say, must be schus avos. Now, again, this is complicated here, because what am I believe, he says you're allowed to say, Magen Avram says, you should be machmir, there's a chumr in the Magen Avram. You should be machmir to say, Hashem has given me more than I deserve lefi maisai, which he holds it's okay to say, but it's better to add on to it, probably because of my schus avos. Or some other, in other words, something that has nothing to do with me. What could I do that has nothing to do with me? It has to be skazavos. Nothing. There is nothing else, right? In other words, not saying that Hashem is doing something wrong. He's miscalculating here, and I'm benefiting from it. We're saying that he's calculating correctly, but it's not just taking me into consideration. He's taking all the generations before me into
If I can
consideration.
paraphrase what I'm understanding you saying from the Avram, so I'm makir that I've got this bracha, and it's not from you, it's from some, now you say some sign of humility, you're saying, it's
Right. Partially my meisim, but if it's Yoser Mimasha Magiali, so Magen Avram says, Yoser Mimasha Magiali must be something else in my previous life. My grandfather saved the Jew from the Holocaust. Something. There's something here which is making it possible for my kids to be doing this, or my parnasa to be doing that, or there's some kind of a bracha here.
Not a mistake in the books. It's not a mistake in the books.
Not a mistake in the books. Exactly right. See, I have to wonder, by the way, people go to Sadiq. Again, I'm talking out loud. Maybe I'm an apokars, but you're bothering me with that word. No, don't say that anymore. No, it's person goes. Person's not. Things are not going well, and you go to some kind of a tzaddik for a bracha. I'm not saying tzaddik's not a tzaddik and a bracha's not a bracha. I'm just saying what's that? So now I get a bracha. Magieli or lo magieli?
So
bracha is just asking the tzaddik to daven for it, it's not a bracha from
if you look at it that way, fine. I'm asking a tzaddik for a bracha. So people say, somebody was just saying this to me, that they went to a certain tzaddik for a bracha and a shidduch, and immediately they had a shidduch. A girl was saying, and the tzaddik actually told them, like a Litvish Rosh Yeshiva, said that there's a stima in your family. There's a stima, something is going wrong here in your family with the shidduchim, and I'll daven to remove the stima. Okay, and it worked. Can't argue with success, right? What?
Maybe that's his topic.
Was Magieli or lo Magieli? What is this girl supposed to say? Is Magieli or lo Magieli?
What's his name?
So you see, Moshe's making a good point here. Moshe's making a good point. Like, what are you getting involved in the whole story for? Magieli, lo Magieli, like the Seder. I don't. I think because I'll tell you why. Because I think it's a good thing to get involved with. Because I think if I'm makir the tov, you see, we're all kvetching all the time. That's why I said we're all kvetching. This is bad. That's bad. Well, this hurts. That hurts. We're all kvetching. But if you can focus on, what do you mean? Things are going so well, and all the things that are going good in your life, and even more than Magieli, I don't see what's wrong. I was makabel for my Rebbe Haber that every single day by Birchos HaShachar, I racked my brain to come up with 3 good things that happened yesterday. I tell you, it's not easy because you can't just fall into while breathing. You talk about serious. Come up with 3 things. Very hard. 2. I would ask them, can I do 2? I mean, it's a very without getting into the cliches, it's very difficult to. But you know what? It changes not just your day, but your whole life. It's a whole. So now, I don't get involved with Magieli, not Magieli, but like it's just a kind of a recognizing the bracha that's in your life. So I think I would just tell you that it's time to go. I want to throw out that machlokes to Marshal and the Magen Avram. Mishnah Berurah doesn't paskin on this, at least not in the Mishnah Berurah, but it's a before machlokes. It could be, you see, Yaakov Avinu said, "Katonti mikol chasadim u'mikol ha'emes," which translates to what? I am humbled. Katonti, I'm humbled by all of the chesed that Hashem has done for me. So it sounds like he paskin like the Magen Avram. So, right?
He was makir that tight.
He was makir that katonti, I am smaller than what I deserve. That's what the words mean. Katonti mikol chazal. That's what words mean. You can't argue
When he
the
first saw the Torah in his life,
He saw the time of his life for sure. And now he said, lo magieli. Katonti mikol chasadim mikol ha'emes. So l'chor you have a before your pasuk. And by the way, I looked this morning, and the Sfarnoi learns that what he was saying is that this was an anivus, that lo magieli, what I get, and this was his statement. Katonti mikol. Who did he say to? I don't know. By the way, I don't know the answer to your question, Dar. Who did he say to? But he said, Katonti mikol chasadim mikol ha'emes, and for posterity, it went into the Chumash, the history, that's what he said. And it was a humbleness. Everyone knows the famous Vilna Gaon. The Gra says that a person's supposed to have 1/8 of an eighth of gaiva, 1/8 of an eighth. So Shmini b'Shminis. So the Gaon famously asked, why does it say 1/8 of an eighth? It should say 64th of gaiva. 64th of what? 64th of what? I mean, there's a pretty big bali gaiva. You could have 64th and still be a big bali gaiva. So what's the solution of Shemini B'Shmini? So the Vilna Gaon famously says that if you turn to the 8th parsha of the Torah and you go to the 8th pasuk Shemini B'Shmini, you get to Katonti B'Kol HaChasadim B'Kol HaEmes. So that's what a person is supposed to be, a Shemini B'Shmini. Okay, for that you have to be the Vilna Gaon to immediately say this. Reb Chaim Volozhin, by the way, pointed out that this question somebody asked him, Mavish by the Shabbos Suda after the Chalot, why does it say Shmini B'Shmini? So that was his immediate, that's easy. Shmini B'Shmini, okay. So, but you see from this going something, as much as it's a good vart, you see from this going, this was an anova on the part of Yaakov Avinu. Katonti Mikol HaChasadim was anova. But what he was saying was lo magieli. Rashi says no, this was part of what it says later by Yaakov Avinu, of Vayira Yaakov mode, that he was always afraid. And there the Gemara says, famously in Brachos and himself, Shema Yigroi Machet. He was afraid maybe I did the chet, and he bet the chet of stealing the Bechor from Esau. Maybe that chet is going to hurt me. He was always worried about that chet. Yir Shemayim. He was always worried about that chet. So when he said, Katonti mikol hachasadim mikol ha'emes, which seems to be an independent statement by Yaakov Avinu than his feeling of Ayur Yaakov. Rashi says, no, it's all the same thing. Why did he say Katonti? Because he was afraid. But the Sfarnai learns out like that. So it could be the Magen Avram and the Marshal, Machlokas Rashi and the Sfarnai. It's Yecholion. But something to think about is how this, how this works in terms of anava. What we're saying here for Reb Chaim Volozhin is that Acher Hamaisa, he felt that all my Hatzlacha came from Shemayim. Kodem Hamaisa, this is what I want to walk away with today. Kodem Hamaisa, he never felt like everything's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He felt like everything is totally in me. Ain't a davar totally be, it'll be. Of course, I came from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but it's all dependent on me. Afterwards, it was all siyata d'shmaya, and that's the wonderful balancing act of a Jew.